Hello everyone, welcome back to the latest update series of Drishti, and this is Divya Kavatra. We meet again to discuss an important topic, that is canine distemper virus, a virus that has recently created chaos. What kind of chaos? We'll look at it, why it is in news, and we'll try to understand about the virus and its effects and how we can mitigate or prevent it. All right, we'll be going through all that step by step. First of all, let's see why it has come into news. It has come into news because recently there has been an incident. What kind of incident there has been? 6 tigers, okay, an entire tiger family, a tigress and 4 cubs, and along with that 6-year-old male tiger, they all together died within a month at Kanha Tiger Reserve in MP. Okay, all these 6 tigers died within a month. And the primary suspect, the primary cause that has been diagnosed is canine distemper virus that has been confirmed by the School of Wildlife Forensic and Health Department, Jabalpur. Okay, so they studied the cases and found out that this virus is spreading and all these tigers have died because of that. Now we are doing a lot already through Project Tiger, etc., to conserve the tigers. And if we keep losing them to such diseases, how will that happen, right? So, we need to understand the virus, we need to understand how we are going to mitigate this, how we are going to prevent it further, alright. So, this incident has brought canine distemper virus once again into news, and the more concerning factor is that this was initially restricted to Sarhi range, but has now spread out to Mukki range, and there is an alarming cause of entire forest contagion. Right, if they all come into contact of the virus, the CDV virus, and they're all going to get affected by this. Why? Because the virus is contagious. The virus is contagious, and this would require us to isolate these tigers or the other affected animals and totally scrutinize the area regarding the water sources. They need to be cleaned. Food sources, they need to be cleaned so that they don't come in contact with the virus. Yeah. So this is what we have to do right now, and that has created an alarming concern right now. All right. This is how the effect is caused. The distemper virus infections, first of all, they get discharged from the eyes. Then they start having discharge from the nose. Then the paws, pads and noses, everything starts thickening. They get, cough, they get lethargic, and ultimately they have a very strong fever and they die. At first instance, it seems like they've got a cold and something, and then because of that high fever, they are getting fatally injured, right? But actually the root cause is this virus that slowly impacts all the organs, especially the respiratory system, and then starts attacking rest of the organs and ultimately leads to lethality, that is the death of the animal. Okay, so at first instance, it is very hard to identify if they have a normal cold or they are affected by the virus. But at this point, if anybody, in the vicinity at least is getting sick, any animal that is getting sick needs special attention, isolation immediately, right away, right? Because this is contagious. Let's see a few other things about canine distemper virus. First of all, it is a highly contagious, very severe, fatal virus. Okay, fatal. It is fatal viral disease which is caused by single-stranded RNA virus. Single-stranded RNA virus of the family Paramyxoviridae. Okay, that is where it is caused by, right? Paramyxoviridae. Clear? Remember the name. Just divide it in parts, you'll be able to learn it. Target organs: respiratory tract, gastrointestinal system, central nervous system. All of them are getting impacted, and what happens is one by one all the organs get impacted, and this hampers the overall immunity. They're not able to fight off the basic cough, the fever, the cold that they're catching. They're not able to fight that, and that altogether attacks their organs, and slowly everything starts to fade. Okay, the symptoms in the big cats, they're very severe: lung infections, pneumonic conditions, respiratory distress, immunity is compromised, and finally secondary triggers like heat, strokes, etc. Then fatality, highly fatal in wild carnivores. This is very highly fatal, especially amongst the vulnerable subadults, right? So we have to take care of them, especially who are getting targeted by this. All right. What is the mode of transmission? Like, how does it spread? And so that we know what to do. How does it spread? First of all, the primary source is domestic and stray dogs that reside in the buffer zone, right? Because the protected areas, you know, they have core, buffer and transition zones. Core, buffer and transition zones. Now in buffer, there are stray dogs that come and go. From the transition zone, they come and go. And in the transition zone, they have caught the virus somewhere. They will bring it to the buffer zone, eat the same food, drink the same water, leave the virus there, go back, and then the animals in the protected area, they are going to come and drink the same water. That way they will get contaminated with the virus. Clear? So this is the transmission part: direct contact, contact with contaminated material, food, water, anything that would directly lead to them catching the virus. Okay. Yes. So this is the first primary source. Transmission path is obviously, this is indirect, where, you know, stray dogs attack or pass the infection to wild herbivores. Tigers hunt, they may consume some infected herbivores, right? They may consume them. If they consume an animal that already has the virus, naturally the virus gets inside them, and that creates another loop, right? It jumps into the big cats, and then human mediated transmission can also happen when local villages enter the core areas. They collect the forest produce. They are accompanied by unvaccinated domestic dogs, right? So ultimately this will come by the dogs itself, unvaccinated dogs. That means we can vaccinate them, and this can be prevented. Please pay attention to that. If the dogs are unvaccinated, only then this is going to happen. Only then they will become a carrier. Otherwise not. That means this is preventive. This can be prevented. How do we do that? Let's take a look at that. Okay. How do we do mitigation and precautionary protocols? Containment. For containment, right now we need disinfection. We'll isolate the animals, disinfect the affected water bodies. We'll use bleach and lime to disinfect the whole water body area. The area where food is stored, we will throw out that food, clean the pit, and then add new food. And that is how we will do that. Then biosecurity is there. Burning the animal, cat and food left over, so that there is no touch point. There is no touch point. All the leftover food should be burned down. That's why, that's how the virus can be totally eliminated, right? Preventive drive can also be done by active vaccination for the domestic dogs that are coming to the buffer areas. If they are vaccinated covering rabies and CDV, this has a vaccination, preventive vaccination is there. But once it happens, it is fatal, right? We have preventive vaccination. If that is done properly to the domesticated dogs, this would further reduce the incidences, right? So peripheral villages, especially around the tiger reserve ranges, we should vaccinate all the dogs. We should make sure every dog is vaccinated, right? For regulatory compliance, we should follow NTCA, that is National Tiger Conservation Authority 2020 guidelines that would mandate that all the proactive domestic dogs get vaccinated. They are prevented especially from the areas and zones, so that we create immune barrier buffers and such diseases in future do not spread to our tigers or the wildlife in general, because this is spreading like fire. It is going anywhere and everywhere, and right now it has become a very huge concern because it has translated to other forests. Now through the other forest, it is going to get spread out in the entire wildlife zone and then contaminating that, and after that contamination, containing the whole loss, it will become very difficult, right? So that is why the entire authorities are concerned, and they're trying their best to contain this within the range so that it doesn't spread further from this. All right, that is your virus, the recent issue, why it is in news. I hope that is clear. But for an exam point of view, please remember that this does not just bring one virus to news. No. This brings back the topic, the entire debate of vaccinating the dogs, the Supreme Court order of vaccinating all the dogs. Do you remember that? Just a while ago, Supreme Court had ordered that we should vaccinate the dogs, right? And if that vaccination takes place, every dog would be vaccinated anyway. This could have been prevented, right? If that had been done timely. Secondly, if that order is to be followed, should we also go beyond dogs and make sure that rest of the animals surrounding the areas, especially the reserved areas, should also be vaccinated, right? So we can go towards that as well. So this is bringing in a lot of other virus and diseases also. So for your exam point of view, there are other things for you to consider, which is what else do you make sure? You make sure that you read other diseases associated to animals that have been recently in news. Okay, regarding birds also, there was this flu that was going on, right? And regarding tigers, now we have seen CDV. Other than that, the dogs vaccination, that also comes into news once again, right? So make sure you go through all these additional structures. As for CDV, this was it. Coming back to our question, read the question. And canine distemper, first statement we read. Second is it primarily affects respiratory, gastrointestinal and central nervous system of susceptible animals. Third, domestic and stray dogs residing in the buffer zones of protected forest act as the primary reservoir of transmitting the virus to wild carnivores, right? All the three statements you just read. We're not giving you the answer. It is up to you to find out the answer. Tell us the answers, okay? Yeah? All right. Thank you so much. See you in the next session. Take care. Bye-bye.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe. And do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.